It's all good.
Thank you. I've run grassroots campaigns my whole political life, which is not too long, but one thing that's interesting about that is they get to give me as much lip as they want to, and I can't do anything about it. They fire me, I don't fire them. And that's the way it should be, though. So I do want to give you a little bit of my background, if that's all right. I grew up in a small town in Oregon and left there at the age of 18 to go to Rick's College back before it became BYU, Idaho. But as a young boy, this is kind of humorous to me. I just had somebody post on Facebook, an old hometown friend. We saw you in the newspaper. You made the front page. And I joked, paper boy makes the paper. Because back when I was 9 years old, I delivered newspapers for my little hometown paper. And that was how I earned enough money to buy my second pair of jeans, right? It was Grandma got me one pair at Christmas, and if I wanted 2 pairs of jeans to wear to school, and at that time they were $13, Levi's 501s. They only made one style. They were straight-legged and dark blue, and you didn't ever need to iron them because they were stiff as a board. So the town was called Molalla, Oregon.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's coming near.
That's where I grew up.
So the only place in town that still had the horse bird up like this.
Yeah,
Oh.
we used to have great plans for that horse back in the day. Never came to fruition, unfortunately. Fortunately, perhaps, or I might have made the paper for different reasons.
Parents?
Gene and Kathy Reck.
I totally know them.
Okay. So they live in Logan now.
Oh, cool.
Do you know the Roses? Laurel Roses?
Yeah.
She and my mom are still friends.
Wow. I'm sorry to take us off, but
Oh, that's okay.
how many people know Molalla?
Well, so you know the story of Molalla. Timbertown, when I was a kid, there were about 12 thriving lumber mills. And by the time I left, at the age of 18, we had about 3 that ran on skeletal crews. All thanks to the spotted owl and the exportation of the timber industry to other places. And what's interesting about coming out of that town and winding up in Utah, at the University of Utah, I was an environmental studies anthropology major, which, as you can imagine, is a very liberal education. It brings new meaning to the term liberal arts. And from that, I went and did an internship at the White House Council on Environmental Quality. And that was under the Gore and Clinton White House. And so I knew once I had left, I was Republican. I came back to Utah, I registered, and served in my precinct as a precinct vice chair, county delegate, state delegate. My wife and I were the only 2 attendees to our caucus when we got elected to those positions. 2 years later, a very similar situation occurs when the county party is saying, we need somebody to run for the state legislature, and they can't find anyone. And so they turn to a young 28-year-old named Morgan Philpot, and I think that they're really honoring me and asking some young 28-year-old, will you please come and run? And wow, they picked me. How nice. And then I came to learn that nobody thought there was any chance I was going to win that seat, because there had been quite a scandal before I had taken office. The former representative had gotten into a real mess and had basically been chased out of office, and everybody thought for sure that district was going Democrat. So if you know anything about Salt Lake County, sorry, I'm going to pull back here to the board. I-15 runs, north-south, and there's 215, and this area right over here is Legislative District 45. It's the Fort Union, Midvale, Sandy, Cottonwood Heights area. That was my district. And there was only one representative north of that area that was a Republican, and his name was Chad Binion. And he and I were pretty much the front line of Republican-Democrat politics. And my wife and I, we got out and we spent literally 11 months campaigning. And the last 4 months of that race, we walked the district every single night. We were out every night except for Sunday and Monday. and we won the election by 600 votes. I took office as a 29-year-old young man and earned one of the most conservative records in the state legislature. So, everybody, draw my little map of Utah here. Everybody thinks that, Utah is so red, right? So conservative. Well, Salt Lake County, which is where we have most of our Democrats, I was gaining the number 1, number 2 ranking as the most conservative legislator in the state. And everybody said, oh, you're toast. You're done. You can't win on that record. I ran again. I won again.
Was it closer?
It was closer. They say your most dangerous election is your first re-election, because then you have a record. Plus, it's an off year. And in off years, Republicans always fare a little worse than they do in a presidential election year. So I won by about 300 votes that time. And then I resigned. I resigned my seat as a legislator. I had my first son and wanted to take everything I had learned and go and get a law degree. I wanted to make it a double whammy and be both a politician and a lawyer and make sure I pretty much covered the worst professions in the world, right? Isn't that what they say these days?
When you were a car salesman before.
Yeah, and I've done car sales before that. So,